Hello there, Pisces. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. What we are doing today is a Pisces Tarot Insight. And so we're going to be looking at one life cycle going on for you right now, Pisces. Generally, a life cycle will last about 28-30 days. Doesn't have to, though. I have seen people move through life cycles more quickly. All just depends how much you embrace or push away from the lesson or experience of the life cycle. So what is a life cycle anyway? A life cycle is something that sets us up to learn something or to experience something, and then we look at what happens as we incorporate that lesson or experience into our lives. And once we've done that, then we graduate on to the next life cycle where we learn or experience the next thing. So we're just going to be looking at one of those. We usually have several life cycles going at once. They can sort of tend to overlap, but we can have a love life cycle, we can have a work life cycle, we can have a family life cycle, yada, yada, yada. So right now I'm just clearing the cards for you, Pisces. The date is October the 7th. It is 9:07 Mountain Time here in the U.S. as I'm beginning this video. Let's see what comes up for you guys. Pisces. Pertinent life cycle. By the way, this is a general reading, meaning that a couple of things. First of all, it's designed to be useful for lots and lots and lots of people, which means that not everything may apply to every single Pisces that's watching. And also, a general reading, it's a generally focused reading as well, which means that we could be talking about your love life, your work life, social life, could be wherever in your life, family life. So we'll just kind of have to see as it comes up. For some of you, it may be falling in different parts of your lives. I may not be able to actually pinpoint it for you. And then, sometimes on these, even in the generals, I can kind of pinpoint, oh, this looks like work, or this looks like love. We'll just kind of have to see as we go and play it by ear. I do expect, even if I'm not able to pinpoint it for you, that you guys will recognize where it's falling in your life. When I am looking at the setup for the life cycle, that's going to be mostly present tense. So most of that stuff you guys should be recognizing right now. Lesson or experience, maybe you've started into that, maybe you haven't. So you may or may not recognize that. And the same thing with the end of the life cycle or the fulfillment of the life cycle, which is what happens as you incorporate that lesson or experience into your life. If you're not recognizing the lesson or experience, chances are you're not going to be recognizing the end of the life cycle either. But if you are recognizing the lesson or experience, you may be recognizing some of the end of that life cycle. So let's just see what comes up here, Mr. and Ms. Pisces, for your cards. By the way, for those of you who are curious, I am using my Druidcraft Tarot. Why are things so wonky here? We're going to pick these cards up because they're not feeling right. Then we're going to shuffle some more. You guys ever have days like that where you start something and you're like, this doesn't feel right? That's how that spread felt to me. I wasn't even looking at the cards and seeing what they meant. I was just going, doesn't feel right. Okay, let's try this again for Pisces. La da da da, la da da da. Excuse me. Little frog in my throat today. Okay, yeah, they just feel much better going down on the table this time. Okay, here we go. One false start out of the way. Now let's take a peek, Pisces. The first card that I'm looking at does talk about your environment. An environment is any place where you may have energy or effort invested. Most of the time I do see it show up as home, but sometimes people tell me, oh, that's school, or oh, that's work. So kind of have your eye open to wherever you may have energy or effort invested that this might be talking about. It looks like in your environment there is something that is causing some kind of forced downtime or downtime that you probably would not have chosen. For some of you, this could be like if you're a Pisces who was in the path of Hurricane Irma or Hurricane Harvey. You know, this could be waiting on insurance to come in and take care of your home or take care of your workplace too. Workplaces also were affected. Excuse me. So some kind of downtime there. Now, for those of you who are not in something where this would be, you know, that type of severe type of downtime, this can be something like, you know, maybe you have your everything all out of your kitchen while contractors are coming in and redoing your kitchen, or you know, maybe you are in the midst of an environment. Maybe you're in the middle of moving. You've sold your old place. You're in the process of buying the new place, but you're kind of in the middle. That could be going on. Something about your environment where there's a downtime. You're not able to do all the things you would normally do in your environment, Pisces. Next thing that we have coming up on our next card talks to me about your subconscious leanings. Excuse me. Subconscious leanings. Subconsciously, you've really got a lot of hope going on. Excuse me. You're expecting a lot of good things going down the road. To me, the subconscious, it looks like, you know, these are thoughts, these are seeds, these are things that are just kind of working around in your mind. So right now, there may not be necessarily, and we'll see more as we go through the reading, there may not necessarily be a lot of hopeful stuff actually happening in the tangible reality, but the subconscious is working on how to bring those things that you hope for into being. Okay? Now, the next thing that we have coming up, and I'm not saying that there aren't hopeful things. For many of you, there probably are. A lot of people are going through some extreme difficulties, you know, with the aftermath of all this crazy shootings and hurricanes and everything else. So I'm sure that from that first card that I've seen, I'm pretty sure that we're talking to some of you. Although not, you know, things like that won't be as extreme with other people's lives. There will be some of that same energy moving through. Okay, so anyway, Pisces, let me not get too far sidetracked here. The next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about your learning style and your communication style as you go through this life cycle. Excuse me. You guys are being really creative. You are coming up with ideas on the fly, and you're good at it. You're good at adapting and moving forward in the ways that you need to be. So as far as learning, I mean, you guys may be creating your own things. It may not be a matter of that you're learning stuff as much as you're creating the things that you need to help you get through whatever situations that you're working through, or to enhance or improve your life in whatever way your life needs enhancing or improving. The next thing that I'm looking at, well, it's the same card, but I want to look at your communication style. I do think that you are communicating with a lot of people, Pisces. I think that you are sharing ideas back and forth. You're sharing encouragement back and forth. I think you're staying very positive through this life cycle, and the communication that you're giving is very positive and very helpful to other people as well. Now, the next thing I'm looking at talks to me about your work. Now, work is 2 or 3 things for me. First, we're going to look at how it is that you feel like you are being a benefit to the community, or how you make a living. Those are kind of the same category as far as I'm concerned. And then we're also going to look at your inner work, those things that you're doing to make yourself happier with who you are. Okay? So first we're going to look at outside work or tangible work. It looks to me, Pisces, like one of 2 things is going on. Either work is really scarce right now for you. Maybe you're unemployed, or maybe you're working some part-time jobs, just trying to bring the money in and really looking for something that's more full-time, more secure, more stable. And for others of you, this is telling me that if you have work, I feel like you, it may not be very busy where you're working, and there may be kind of some concerns about, you know, how much longer you're actually going to be able to keep working for that place. Like I think there probably are some concerns right now about, you know, are they going to be laying people off? Are they going to be shutting their doors? That type of thing. Now, please realize that this part of the spread is present tense stuff. So if you are not hearing those kinds of rumors at your work, then please don't try to make this fit and try to say, oh, well, Amista said this is what's going on at work, there's things to be worried about. No, it may just be that this part of the reading just doesn't happen to fit you. So don't stress. If you're not hearing those rumors, don't stress. Don't try to create them. It's okay. Those rumors aren't going around for you. The other thing that's coming up for me about work is that it may be that you guys are really overworked and not having the time to take care of yourself. So you see what I mean? Like there's different ways that this card can come in, and I'm actually getting so many different stories. I don't think I've ever gotten this many stories about exterior work before. So, you know, for some of you, you're working so little, you're worried about whether the job is still going to be there. But for others of you, you're working so hard that, you know, you don't have time to take care of yourself even. You know, so don't try to make this into something that it's not. You know, please realize not everything's going to apply to you. What fits, fits, and what doesn't, it doesn't. Throw it away. It's okay. Okay? So we've got a lot of things going on for different ones of you as far as work. Next, let's look at inner work. Really what this is telling me is that you have been neglecting taking care of yourself. You have been neglecting doing things to help you feel good, to make you happy. Maybe you've even been neglecting your spiritual practices for some of you. You've been neglecting taking time to meditate. It feels like for a lot of you, life has become so chaotic in the recent past that your regular routines have just gotten completely thrown out the window. And so, you know, it does feel to me like a lot of you Pisces are just putting out fires everywhere that you can. You just go from putting out one fire to putting out the next fire to putting out the next fire to putting out the next fire. And you don't have time to think about, you know what, I haven't had a bath today, you know, or whatever it may be for you. You know, I mean, that's a kind of extreme example, you know. I haven't had a massage in forever, you know, whatever that might be for you. But as far as, you know, making time for yourself, you're in a time frame right now where you're finding it really tough to get that balance and bring in time for yourself. So it's something to be aware of, that you're not really taking the best care of yourself that you possibly can right now. And it's easy to see why, because there's so many distractions that are pulling you so many different directions. Sometimes you just have to call a time out and say, hey, I'm only human. I can only deal with so much. And right now, I got to take care of me, you know. And then Spirit is showing me those old Calgon commercials. Remember the Calgon, take me away. Just the bubble bath. Something as simple as a bubble bath to allow yourself some rejuvenation time, some peaceful time where you're not answering your phone, where the little ones aren't asking you for 3 zillion and one things and spilling everything that you're cleaning up. You know, try to take some time for yourself. Try to get that fit back into your schedule. Bring the Calgon time back, okay? Now, easier said than done, I know. The next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about that part of you that is being grown or expanded right now. So this part of your personality. And I think you are dealing with a whole lot of new stuff. I don't feel like you're letting it be daunting to you. You're just jumping in and dealing with it, Pisces. And so, you know, this really talks about, you know, things are changing and you're facing those changes and you're dealing with them well. You really are. You're integrating them. You're moving forward with them. All of that is going very, very well. You're mastering that game. You're mastering the adapting to change game right now. Okay. So the next thing that we're looking at, Mr. and Ms. Pisces, is we're looking at those things that you've had to stand for. Okay, so for a lot of you, there are some situations in your life that you thought that you would always be on top of, and that you just kind of assumed you would always be able to handle. Things that you thought that you could help other people out with, even maybe. Excuse me, that you just always figured that you could be there for them. Something has definitely happened that has disrupted that for you. And I feel like you've had to take a step back from helping other people in the ways that you used to help other people, Pisces, and you've had to step back and start really focusing on taking care of the things that you need rather than trying to help other people. And Pisces, you are such givers. I know this has to be really hard for you to do this, but I feel like it's something that has come up in your life out of a sense of necessity for you. And because of this, I feel like, somebody has said to you, you used to always do such and such for me, and I really count on that. I think you've actually had to say to that person, you know what, I wish that I could still do that for you, but I am just not in that position right now. Right now, I have to focus on la da 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 da. And so you've had to stand up for this idea of not being able to be there for as many people as you were always there for before. And now they kind of have to figure it out for themselves and fend for themselves. And Pisces, you are notoriously codependent, which, is it's just a way of being, but it's a way of being that can be not so helpful to the other people around us, even though we're trying to be helpful. And I do have a Pisces moon, so I totally get it. This is actually common for water signs, and I've got a Scorpio sun sign. So right there with you. When I say this, it's not like I'm throwing insults across the fence. We're talking about me here, too. But, water signs in general are notorious for being kind of codependent. So we get, we have a lot of empathy for other people. We want things to go well for them. We'll do whatever it takes for things to go well for them because we've pretty much got our lives together for the most part. And so we're trying to help them. And so where we start to get off track is we try to help people a little bit too much. And so this is kind of what, as water signs, we're notorious for. And Pisces, you guys, maybe even the most out of all of us, you're kind of notorious for helping people to the point that maybe they start to feel like they can't do those things that you're doing because they haven't in so long, and they sort of lose their confidence. And so now you're stepping back, and maybe they've lost their confidence. They don't think they can do these things. Truth is, they can. They just need to set their mind that, okay, I'm going to. And so where you're having to stand up for this, and where I'm feeling like you guys are feeling so bad about not being able to help people the way that you used to always be able to help people, I think in a lot of situations, this is actually going to be a great growth opportunity for those other people and for yourself. But definitely for those other people to catch on to the idea, you know what, I really can do this. And so they start to do it. Still not easy news to deliver that you can't be there for them in the way that you always were. I totally get that. Anyway, let's move on. How other people perceive you. I think this is really interesting because, what we're talking about so far, this has not been a pretty picture. And so it's interesting to me how other people perceive you. And a lot of times this other person, how they perceive you, this person that we're looking at are those people that you had to say, you know what, I'm sorry, but I can't help you right now. I've got to do this. I have to focus on that. And so how they're perceiving you is they're seeing you as on top of the world, like you've got your stuff together. Everything is good with you. You're organized. You've got it all, and things are going well for you, and you're being productive, and you're happy. That's how they're perceiving you right now. So you may have a lot on your plate, but the outside view is, compared to them, you're doing quite well. Okay? All right, so all of that stuff that we have so far, all of this stuff is present tense. So most of you will recognize most of this stuff already if this reading applies to you. Now, for those of you that you've sat here and you've listened through the first 19 minutes of this and you're saying, I don't know what she's talking about, man. What planet is Amista on today? Then this reading is not for you. I would turn it off because when I start to get into the future stuff, it's not going to be any more for you than the present tense stuff. Excuse me. But for those of you who have listened this far and you're going, whoa, she's right on. then the future is pretty likely to be about the same amount on. So if I was like 80% on for you guys, probably the next part's going to be like 80% on too. If I was 0% on, the next part's going to be 0% on. If I was 99.9% hitting, then the rest is going to be like pretty solid as well. So that's just so you know like how much you can expect from this general reading, so you can kind of gauge for yourself, because it is going to be, you know, different for everybody. Now, the next thing I want to look at is the lesson or experience. Like I said at the beginning, this is something you may or may not recognize at this point. It may be in the future, or you may have already started into it. Just depends where you are on this particular life cycle. Lesson or experience, I do see a lot of stress for you guys. You've got the Nine of Swords for those of you that know tarot. I mean, this is someone who's totally just stressed out. That's all. Just completely stressed out. Having a hard time sleeping, possibly. Having a hard time functioning through their day. They may have too much on their mind. They may be sleep deprived because of the stress and have a hard time functioning through their day. So this is kind of where I'm seeing the lesson or experience. This is where this life cycle is leading you into dealing with all of this stress and you know, learning, okay, how do I cope with this? What do I do with this? Okay. And then as you experience this experience of the life cycle, we've got a few things going on. So one of the things that we have going on is you're starting to handle things in very non-traditional ways because you are looking to de-stress. You're looking to get rid of some stressful things in your life. So whatever stressful situations, you're trying to make them unstressful. So say you were in one of the hurricanes and say, for instance, that insurance finally came and they looked at your house and they said, well, your house is still standing, it's still solid. There aren't enough hotels to put everybody in a hotel, so we're going to ask you to stay in your house right now. But maybe there's, you know, maybe the interior walls are not there anymore or whatever. So instead of, you're just using that as an example. So instead of, you know, trying to live in a house with like no private space, with no common space, what you do is you start improvising. So instead of, you know, maybe you can't get contractors in to build walls yet. So you start getting old sheets and thumbtacking them to the ceiling so that you have markings for, okay, this is the bedroom and this is the kitchen and this is the living room, just so that you have some kind of compartmentalization, some kind of idea about a little bit more normalcy, and so it just relieves a little bit of stress. You know, you're going to be doing things, Pisces, that are going to be outside of what is traditional to help yourself alleviate stress. Maybe some of you are going to be going to an energy healer to help you alleviate stress. You know, Western medicine doesn't necessarily support that or encourage that, so that would be considered non-traditional, as much as it seems very normal to me and maybe even to you. But definitely the world is going to see that as non-traditional. So you're going to be coming into some kind of non-traditional ways to alleviate that stress that you're suffering from or that you're feeling during this life cycle. The other thing that comes up that you're going to be doing to alleviate some of this stress is you're going to be walking away from some things. Just flat out cutting them out of your life. Now, for some of you, this could be walking away from a job that's too stressful, walking away from a home situation that's too stressful, walking away from a relationship, whether it's romantic, family, friendship, colleague, that's been adding too much stress. I'm hearing that some of you are dealing with psychic vampires. This is really not the time for you guys to be tolerating psychic vampires. You've got enough going on from everything I'm seeing in this spread. It's like, really? You want what? You want to drain my energy? Do you not understand what I'm doing here? I'm doing well. I'm staying positive. Earlier in the reading, we show you staying very positive. But part of that staying positive is because, you know, you were coming into this time of stress, so that's changed. But typically, you're a very positive person. And right now, you just can't be carrying somebody else's emotional load. And I think you're going to be walking away from some vampire type relationships. Psychic vampires, for those of you who don't know, is somebody who just, every time you talk to them, you just feel depleted. Maybe you just want to cry, or maybe you just want to go to bed, but they just suck all the energy right out of you just by being around. And sometimes they do a lot more than just talking to you to deplete you. Sometimes they take your money, they take your food, they take your energy. You're going to be walking away from a situation like that. At least one. Some of you are going to be walking away from more than one situation like that. Okay, and then last but not least, I've got the King of Pentacles showing up in reverse, which basically to me, this is somebody who, number one, doesn't feel like he has enough money to go around. He feels broken. But also this is talking about that. This is there's a certain amount of acceptance that comes in because of the stress. I think you begin to accept things in the way that they are now with all the changes that you've been dealing with. There's a certain amount of acceptance here with the King of Pentacles in reverse. Where normally if he's right side up, he is really on his game. He's got everything situated financially. He's in good shape. This is, not being in good shape financially, materially, things are a mess. And I really think I got to be reading for a lot of people that were hit by the hurricane. But things are kind of a mess financially. And with this King of Pentacles in reverse, this is somebody who has come to accept, okay, this is what it is. Which is good because it's a step away from that stress. And it is a beginning to where you can say, okay, so this is what I need to do to move forward. And so that's where I see you guys right now, or, well, at the end of this life cycle, I think this is where this is all leading, is that, okay, you're cutting away some of the psychic vampires, you're cutting away the people that were leaving you depleted, you're coming up with non-conventional solutions to your issues, to your problems. That's alleviating some of your stress. Now you're able to look at things from a different perspective. You're able to accept that, okay, this is how things are now, this is what I'm working with, this is where I build from. And I think that with this King of Pentacles in reverse, I think that you're getting ready to rebuild. You're starting to put in those first rebuilding steps. Okay? So building back up and getting back into a position that you're more comfortable with, or that you're more used to. And so that's what I think you're getting ready to do once we hit the end of this life cycle. Okay? So there we go, Pisces. I hope that you find this helpful. I'm sorry that, it wasn't all light and fluff. I do take pride in the fact that I don't candy coat things. At the same time, that doesn't mean that it's easy to deliver a message where it looks like you guys are going through as rough a time as you've been going through. And so I am just wishing you guys the absolute best as you deal with the changes that you are looking at. Everyone have a fantastic, fantastic day, and I will see you all on the next video. Peace out.